Yeah, this is insane right here. This is one hell of a thing. Cops brutally slammed a black woman head first, I kid you not, head first, in senseless detainment. Why did they do that? Because she asked him one question. And the question was, why am I being detained? I kid you not. Watch this.
Hell of a thing. Ohio. A woman is body slammed by the police because she dared to ask a question. Here it is.
I can be detained in my car. I've been asked to go to my car with my kids.
She's gonna make it. See, this is. Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Whoever, get off me. Get off.
I hope y'all happy because y'all know damn well I didn't do. Why did you just shoot me?
Okay, put it up full mass. You will see the Ohio police officer seen on the video lifting a black woman in the air and body slamming her head first because she questioned why is she being detained. Let me give you the background to this horrific story. January 2024, De'Ara Fields, now 26, was among multiple family members engaged in a chaotic, heated argument that involved some pushing and shoving when Akron police arrived and broke up the fight, separating the family members on opposite sides of their living room. Miss Fields was standing still when Officer Shoemaker began to put her in handcuffs. When she posed the question, why was she being arrested? He said he was only, quote, detaining her. As she continued to question the officer, Shoemaker, without provocation, grabbed the plaintiff, lifted her into the air, and body slammed her head first to the ground, according to the official complaint. He then took Miss Fields outside, put her into his police car. Miss Fields was given a citation for resisting arrest and a summons to appear in court. So put up the local police emblem. Eventually, an investigation was opened after the body cam video of the incident surfaced in reporting by Signal Akron. The police faced public outcry over the violent use of force. And Anthony Fennell, a new independent police auditor hired by the Citizens Police Oversight Board, began to investigate. In his report, released April of 2024, Fennell disagreed with an internal affairs review of the incident that had found Shoemaker's use of force objectively reasonable. And so the Oversight Board said it was not objectively reasonable. All right? Okay, let's go to the video.
I can be detained in my car. I've been asked to go to my car with my kids.
She's gonna make it. See, this is. Get out! Whoever, get off me. Get off.
I hope y'all happy because y'all know damn well I didn't do. Why did you just shoot me?
Very sad indeed.
Sure is.
The
pathetic.
Police sergeant, Jason.
It really is pathetic. They could just do that. They could just pick you up, body slam you to the ground, like it's a WWE stunt, like you'd be filmed on USA, like WWE Raw, SmackDown, and shit like that. But if you were to, let's say, let's shove a cop, just brush him aside, you would get charged with felony assault and battery. It's absolutely ludicrous.
Belichick had concluded that, quote, Officer Shoemaker's actions were not only justified, but reserved as well. It would have been very easy for someone in the same situation to lose their patience and react in a way that would
So let me get this straight. This stupid fleet sergeant is justifying this instead of reserve as well. So it's justifiable for a police officer to body slam someone to the ground, put their knee on someone's neck, or to tase the crap out of them when they're asking a question, or open fire on somebody because they're so-called fear for life and they want to preach about officer safety. That's a crock of bullshit. That's fucking cop explaining 101 right there.
reflect poorly on the Akron Police Department. Well, isn't that interesting? He's saying that the police officer was actually reserved given the circumstance. There's more. So Fennell also told the oversight board that the officer, Timothy Schmiegel, who was Shoemaker's supervisor and observed his takedown of Ms. Fields, should be investigated for failing to intercede in Shoemaker's use of force, for violating the de-escalation policies, and for failing to properly document and report the use of force. So they have a couple of protocols with the police department. One protocol is to intervene when there's an officer, a subordinate officer, not engaging in de-escalation. They also have an adjacent policy. That policy is very simple. Once use of force happens, and the use of force can be justified, theoretically, but once it happens, it has to be documented by the supervising officer and by the officer who made the arrest. Well, this was not documented. It was allowed to go on the report that it didn't happen, which is another violation. So Fennell further found that Shoemaker actually had no probable cause to charge Ms. Field with any crimes and no reasonable suspicion to detain her, which, by the way, is why she was asking, how come I'm being detained? And the only charge that was affixed was resisting arrest. There's more. So
But the thing about you as well too is the first thing as well is like what would happen to that officer if he intervened about using force like that? He would get outed. That's the problem. That's why some of these police officers are so afraid to speak up about what's right about for the community like that. No, they're more about trying to cover their behinds and you know what, yeah, so that way they can be loyal to the fellow comrades in blue.
Meanwhile, in the run-up to a criminal trial, Ms. Fields pleaded not guilty.
Oh yeah, one more thing too. If I was gonna step on as well too, for somebody to be charged with resisting arrest, that's a secondary charge. Somebody we had to be charged with a crime before resisting comes to light. A resisting arrest is not a primary charge; it's a secondary charge.
To resisting
and
arrest,
for her just to be charged with resisting,
as well as to obstruction of
crazy.
official business, which was added months after the initial arrest. The lawsuit says the prosecutors offered her a number of, quote, unethical plea agreements to, quote, prevent her from seeking accountability for the harm she suffered, end quote.
Oh yeah, and I've heard stories like that where cops will add on charges if you FOIA request or make a complaint like that. Oh yeah, you know, they try to sit there and say, well, you complete or you can do this charge, a lesser charge, but if you were to snitch on them or do a FOIA request, make a complaint or sue them, they'll tack on more charges. Yeah, that's contempt of cop right there.
Including pleading guilty in exchange for sealing her record and signing an agreement to waive her right to file a civil lawsuit. Ms. Fields steadfastly maintained her innocence.
Oh yeah, there are cops that do shit like that. They'll tell you like, oh, you could. They'll say, well, if you make a FOIA request, you make a complaint, well, I'm gonna tack on this, and all these charges. I'm gonna try to felon like that. But what they're trying to do, try to coerce her to forego to plead it out and say, oh, I'll charge you with this like a misdemeanor. So you basically you have to forego. You have the subcom. It's basically like kissing the ring or licking the boot. Say, yeah, I'll plead it out. You know, put them on record like a misdemeanor. That's crazy. See, that's what they want. They want people to be subcom to their tyranny and bootlicking ways. To their jacked up bootlicking ways. To be afraid and like that. That's why some people are not afraid to stand up for the rights, FOIA requests, sue the crap out of them. And I always hear people like say, "Hey, I'm going to sue you," and guess what? Say goodbye to your job badge, and the cops are laughing like, "Oh, that'd be a cold day in hell." Oh, I'll guess what? I'll testify, and guess what? If I testify in court, you're done. Yeah, cop. And you know what the saying is? Cops talk about, oh, they don't make it personal. Yeah, oh hell no, they make it personal.
And was unanimously acquitted of all
She was acquitted.
charges in a jury trial on June 13th, 2024.
In a jury
I
trial.
want to remind you of how sadistic this whole thing is. They know it's a bad arrest.
They know.
They know there's no reason that an interaction should have taken place. There is absolutely no probable cause to charge, but they decide to go forward. And I want you to think about this in a criminal justice context. The prosecutor is telling you this is worthy of Ms. Fields going home and of her not having a criminal charge that's detectable by a background search. Basically, she didn't do it because that was the offer from the prosecutor. But if you insert your constitutional right, which is to go to trial, all of a sudden you're punished by inserting that right constitutionally. And now the prosecutor wants a jury to believe that they need Ms. Fields to serve jail time because they are outraged by the action she took against the officer, even though they just offered her no jail time and no criminal record. Isn't that interesting? There's more. Put it up full mass. The arrest caused Ms. Fields to lose her job, driving for DoorDash,
Unreal.
as well as her place on a list for subsidized housing. Her attorney, Mr. Colo, told the Atlanta Black Star she suffered lower back and rib injuries as a result of the slam to the floor by Officer Shoemaker, adding that the incident also, quote, took an emotional toll on her. A lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Ohio in January against the city, Shoemaker, Schmiegel, and Harding alleges federal violations involving excessive force, malicious prosecution, supervisor liability, municipal liability, and negligence, as well as a state law claim against Shoemaker.
You know, and like I said before, I mean, I've seen videos where cops tell you, like, oh, say, I don't give a crap about your rights. Or I've seen videos where cops would tell people like that, well, when you're dealing with the police, you have no rights. It's ludicrous.
For assault and battery. This is a very good attorney. This attorney has alleged both federal and state due to the nature of the violations. Most of these charges can go directly to federal court, and he has done that. But the ones that can stick in state court because of the laws that govern the assault, he made sure he filed those as well. Most attorneys would not have done that. Very thankful for the kind of representation she has. We are looking forward to a just outcome. Just sister thoughts here.
Yeah, why can't we ask the cops questions? That is such a basic thing that we should be able to do. We're constantly told that if you don't want to end up as a victim of police brutality, you should just comply, right? Just comply with whatever they say. Comply. It doesn't matter.
Exactly, and she makes a point about that. The thin blue line lovers, the fraud dweebs like that. They say, oh, when you're dealing with cops, you don't answer questions. You say, oh, you don't ask them questions. And so when you're dealing with police officers, you have no rights. And so when you're dealing with police officers, you comply and answer any and all the questions. You do what you're told to do. When an officer tells you what to do, when they give you a legal lawful order, you're supposed to do it. You just simply comply, obey. Or you have no right. You can't ask questions. Or why want me detained? What reasonable particular suspicion do you have that I committed a crime? Or what's your name and badge number? People say you can't do that. Or you can't sit there and say, oh, I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I don't answer questions.
Matter what the cops are doing. It doesn't matter what the cops are saying. Just comply. And if you don't comply with all of it, whatever happens to you after the fact is your own fault. But what if what the cop is asking of you, or what if what the cop is doing or saying to you is just wrong or unjust or unjustified? You're not even allowed to speak up for yourself anymore, it seems, as we can see from this. The threat of physical violence is enough to stop most people from engaging in any kind of behavior if they know that that's what's on the other side of it, especially for a woman. If I knew that this cop was even had it in him to body slam me, maybe I would shut my mouth. Maybe, not, no promises. But the cops can decide for whatever reason, or for no reason at all, that if they want to detain you, they can do it. And then if you ask questions or just try to defend yourself in any way, they now have just cause to actually arrest you, because how dare you disrespect these cops who are so obviously deserving of that respect? Because now you are resisting to whatever they decided to arrest you for in the first place. If a cop is called to an altercation, they're supposed to control the situation in whatever way is easiest and most sensible, but so often they seem to just escalate the situation to the point of violence, and sometimes to the point of death and destruction. So these situations can escalate so quickly, especially because these cops do have the authority to carry deadly weaponry on them and to use it if they ever feel like their own lives are in danger. And that, as we have seen,
they always want
is
to talk
a very,
about
very
officer
tenuous
safety.
situation. It's a lot of he said, she said. If they feel a certain way, who can argue with that? But this is how they're trained to respond, or we can at least assume as much, considering how often we're reporting on stories like this one. We can also assume as much because after these incidents, their terrible conduct in the field and the terrible decisions that they make, like body slamming a woman for asking a question, is defended by their superiors. And on top of everything, they're threatening a woman with a...
I remember last year too, the story about a blind man who was carrying a cane in his pocket, and he's come back from jury duty, and the cops mistaken for a gun, and he said no, like that, and the cops are accusing him of being a tyrant like that. Well, and the guy, I was like, no, I was like, I'm being a tyrant. I said, it's just kind of rude. Cops walk up and they act like jacked up bootleggers like that, and they come up to harass you when you know you did nothing like that. And then also, what the guy says, I want your name and badge number. Then the other cop says, book him and lock him up for resisting. I mean, it's like, when is asking for a name? And it's, most agencies will tell you when you ask for a name and badge number, that's policy. And it tells you, or it's like, lock him up, or like that. A couple of weeks ago, I did a story about a guy actually is a pro cop lover. When he just asked him, say, hey, can I get your name and badge number? Lock him up. That's crazy.
Criminal record, which can now affect her ability to get a job, among other things. So they know that they're behaving in a way that is going to look bad in the public, because they're trying to cover it up to a certain extent at least. And there is no repercussions. So until there are some kind of repercussions for the cops, we're going to continue to see this type of behavior from them.
That's right. Accountability is the key. That's why these attorneys are very important in navigating the civil justice system. We will bring updates as they come.
I mean, it's crazy. It's getting to the point now where police in America is trying to, where they traumatize you, trying to intimidate, bully, and harass you, or to the point where it's like if you ask questions or you stand up for your rights, so you say, hey, I have rights. I have a Constitution Amendment rights. I have the First Amendment rights. So I have the First Amendment of freedom of speech and freedom of press. I say I have Fourth Amendment. You say Fourth Amendment rights where you don't illegal search and seizure. I have the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. But yeah, it's getting to the point where cops can intimidate you, say you don't have any rights. You stand for your right. You're screwed. You're screwed. And it's where, and it's getting to the point now. It's just one anarchy away from Trump put in martial law, where it's going to be a national curfew, kind of like what happened to COVID in 2020. Anyways, I'm out here. Much up. Peace out.